Welcome to my video on attribution theory. This is a big theory in social psychology and has to do with the attributions that people make for behaviors. It has to do with the attributions that people make for other people's behaviors and for their own behaviors. But before I describe attribution theory, I should probably explain what an attribution means. When a person makes an attribution, they're explaining the cause of something, or they're explaining why something happened. So if a person is driving in his or her car and the person's car breaks down, and the person thinks that the reason the car broke down was because the engine overheated, then the person is making an attribution for why the car broke down. But attribution theory in psychology has to do with the attributions that people make for behaviors. And the attributions that people make for behaviors often fall into one of two different types. One type is called a dispositional attribution. When a person makes a dispositional attribution for a behavior, the person is thinking that the behavior was caused by a personality trait or something about the person that performed the behavior. So if I'm stopped at a red light and I see another person running through the red light, and I think that the reason the person ran through the red light was because the person is impatient, and if I think that the person's impatience caused the person to run through the red light, then I'm making a dispositional attribution for that behavior. But people can also make situational attributions for behaviors. When a person makes a situational attribution for a behavior, the person is thinking that the behavior was caused by the situation that the person was in at the time they performed the behavior. So if I'm stopped at a red light and I see another person running through the red light, and I think that the reason the person ran through the red light must have been because the person was late or in a hurry to get somewhere, then I'm making a situational attribution for the behavior. But are people equally likely to make dispositional and situational attributions when they explain other people's behaviors? Are they fair in the attributions that they make for other people's behaviors? Well, when people explain other people's behaviors, they often show something called fundamental attribution error, which is a tendency to explain other people's behaviors by making dispositional attributions and to not fully consider the influence of situations on other people's behaviors. So what the fundamental attribution error means is that if I'm stopped at a red light and I see another person running through the red light, I'm probably more likely to think that that person is impatient than to think that that person must be late or must be in a hurry to get somewhere. And it makes sense that people show the fundamental attribution error. A lot of the time, the situations that other people are in at the times when they perform behaviors are invisible to us, and we're not aware of those situations. For example, if I'm stopped at a red light and I see another person running through the red light, I usually have no way of knowing whether that person is late or whether that person is in a hurry to get somewhere. So I sort of have to automatically assume that that person must be impatient because that's the only explanation that I can make with the information that I have. And even when we know the situations that other people are in when they're performing behaviors, a lot of the time we're not sure how those situations influence or affect other people's behaviors. And that makes it harder for us to explain other people's behaviors with situational causes. But when people are explaining their own behaviors, they often show something called the actor-observer effect, which is a tendency to explain their own behaviors with situational attributions and to not fully consider the influence of dispositional factors like personality traits on their own behaviors. So what the actor-observer effect means is that if I'm the person who's running through the red light, I'm probably more likely to think that the reason I'm running through the red light is because I'm late getting somewhere or because I'm in a hurry than to think that the reason I ran through the red light is because I'm an impatient person. I'm less likely to think that the reason I ran through the red light was because I'm impatient. And it also makes sense that people show the actor-observer effect. The situations that people are in when they perform behaviors aren't invisible to them in the same way that the situations that other people are in are often invisible to them. For example, if I'm the person who's running through the red light, I'll be able to know whether I'm in a hurry or whether I'm late to get somewhere. So if I'm in a hurry and I'm late to get somewhere, it's easy for me to make a situational attribution and for me to explain my behavior of running through the red light by thinking that the reason I did the behavior was because I'm late. It's easy for me to make that explanation. And also, people often have a good idea of how they act across different situations. So it's easy for them to explain their own behaviors with situational causes. And I just wanted to introduce you to some of these topics, and I'll probably make some other videos on some topics in psychology. And thanks for watching.